So another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast is on the air. He's Brandon. I'm Jared. Bobby Lashley, the new WWE Champion. AEW's Revolution. We'll find out what that's all about, what the Big Show said this week on Dynamite. And speaking of Evolution, William Regal promises a big women's announcement next week as he was standing in front of the Evolution poster saying it. That and more. He's Brandon. I'm Jared. This is the Heel to Face podcast.
Fans celebrate with me from Rome to Rochester.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddy from Syracuse.
So the Heel to Face podcast is on the air for another week as we are officially in the month of March and on the road to WrestleMania. But before then, we've got two big stops, including one this Sunday with AEW's Revolution. Make sure to follow the program at Heel to the Face on Twitter and subscribe to get notified if you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify. As we break in to start, it's funny, every week it seems like something big happens on Monday Night Raw, but by the time we get to recording this podcast, it seems like old news. And Bobby Lashley became the WWE Champion on Monday Night Raw. Took 3 hours to do it.
Yeah.
But we'll start right there. And a lot of people excited that Bobby Lashley's champion. They're saying things like, why hasn't this happened before? And personally, I'm happy he's champion, but I'm saying he shouldn't have been champion before. This is a perfect time for him to be champion. And I've guess, loved Bobby Lashley physically, but people are saying, why hasn't he been champion before? Did you forget how awful he was on the mic? He's not Brock Lesnar. He's not Braun Strowman. And I think the thing is now he is worthy of being champion. What do you think?
All right, so let me stop you there. He's gotten better on the mic. I'm going to say that. He's not the Miz on the mic by any means. Miz is one of the best on the mic. I don't care what anybody says. He plays that douchey heel annoyance character better than anybody. I think we all know that. But Bobby Lashley, he's done so much better on the mic. We know what he does in the ring. He's a real fighter. I mean, he's proved it. He's an MMA guy on the before WWE or in between stints in WWE. So he's a legit badass dude. So I'm happy for him. I think what really takes him to the next level is the Hurt Business. And more importantly, you have somebody like MVP. And MVP walking out with that cane looking like an old school gangster, man, like I loved it. I hope he keeps the cane, by the way. I think it's the new shtick because I know he's injured. He's using it to kind of assist him, so to speak, with his knee injury. But I got to tell you, I think MVP kind of like his so to speak, like his manager. I mean, I know they're in the same group, but I believe in a way, I think MVP's kind of looked at as Bobby's manager and mouthpiece. So I think this is great. I will say that I wish they would have waited for Bobby to win at WrestleMania. That's the only, if I had to nitpick, that's the only thing I would like. Because like I said last week, if you're going to put the title on Bobby, you can't do it short term. It's not cool. It just looks like crap. It's just a bad look all around.
And speaking of short term, The Miz held the belt for 1 week, and we were talking, and The Miz was talking, and everyone's talking about, The Miz deserves this. He always gets so much slack. Finally, hopefully he's not going to be a transitional champion. Hopefully this is a good run, and it was his shortest, worst run yet. I mean, I like The Miz. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be champion at some point, but he was not exactly forthcoming in the fact that saying that this time's going to be different. He was really making it out like he was going to hold that belt for a while. Everyone at home talking about him being a transitional champion or like winning the championship. Like, no, like this is, I remember the memes and the pictures and the GIFs and the videos about pretty much doing the Bobby Lashley thing, like talking about how long it's been since he's had the championship, his road to the championship, like he was Kofi Kingston winning it at Mania, and he only held it for a week.
And to add to that, I think he's going to get his rematch. I think at Fastlane. I think that's the next thing on deck. I think he's going to whine about it. We're going to see the next step on Monday Night Raw next week. What I hope happens at Fastlane is we get Bobby Lashley and Miz, and Miz gets squashed again, so Bobby keeps the title. And I want to see Drew and Sheamus. As much as I love what they're doing, best friends make for better competition because, as they say, your best friends, you're going to hit harder than, just your compadre, so to speak. So I'm hoping that they get rid of this, Drew versus Sheamus thing. I hope they just burn it out, Fastlane, because I want to see Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for all the marbles.
I mean, it's kind of funny. I know Bobby Lashley is quote unquote a heel, but I mean, it's kind of a face, would you say?
Yeah, I think
he's like towing that line, especially when he took on The Miz. I mean, because The Miz is clearly a heel. So Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley getting that face versus face kind of championship match.
I'm okay with it. And here's the thing,
I'm very okay with it. Yeah.
And I listened to Bobby Lashley on Corey Graves' show that just happened this week, and he loves The Miz. Like he gave some props to Bobby Lashley. Came out and was like, yeah, man, like Miz is good at what he's good at what he does. His character is good for what he is, and he does it better than anybody else. So, Bobby Lashley, I do like these podcasts and different shows that you get to kind of peel the layers off a little bit. Cesaro, same thing. Cesaro opened up on a podcast recently with Corey Graves. I gotta tell you, it's so cool to see these different layers being peeled back. I listened to Apollo Crews. I checked that out the other day, and I gotta tell you, Apollo Crews, like his story, if you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out.
Bobby Lashley being champion, like I said to start this, I'm happy he's champion now. I'm glad he wasn't champion before. I just don't see him as somebody. I mean, he's been Impact champion and stuff like that just because he had the WWE thing to him. Impact will give the belt on anybody who's ever been a big name anywhere. But I'm glad that he was WWE champion because I feel like it means more now because he fits into that role. I'm not saying, I know he's been a bad talker, but he didn't have what he has with the Hurt Business, with the people behind him, with the attitude, with the aggression. I mean, he feels more like a Brock Lesnar now than he did ever before in his career. He's always had the physique, but he didn't have it. And they tried.
You always called him Wayne Brady.
I always called him Wayne Brady. And even when he came back in the WWE, I said this time, I was there the night he came back on Monday Night Raw, and I said this time I hope is different. And for a little bit, it wasn't. I mean, they brought out his sisters. I was there for that Monday Night Raw where they brought, Sami Zayn brought out his sisters?
I think it was, yeah.
That was ridiculous. One of the worst segments in Raw history. Yeah. But real now bad. I think he is worthy of holding the belt. His current character, the current backing of the Hurt Business, this is the Bobby Lashley, the physique and the personality coming together.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to have the Hurt Business by your side. Again, MVP, I think, is the glue that keeps the Hurt Business together. I think you're going to see some really good promos, I think, out of MVP. I mean, he's done a great job anyways, but as Lashley is champion, I think those promos are going to be up to another notch, and I'm really looking forward to McIntyre, Lashley for all the marbles at WrestleMania. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
So who says WWE and AEW don't work together? Because it seems like some rumors out this week, like they might work together in the sense of WWE helping out AEW by moving NXT over to Tuesday nights, potentially starting April 13th. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is Triple H and WWE, kind of waving the white flag to AEW. Personally, I guess my issue is wrestling fans are wrestling fans. We don't always have to be in competition. I know WWE and AEW fans on Twitter love to be going at each other all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm both. And by it being on Tuesday nights, I mean, kind of creates a competition for Impact Wrestling. I imagine Impact Wrestling is just going to have to just move. They're not going to be in for the fight like AEW is. I feel like their best idea is let's move this to another night.
Yeah, move it to like Thursday.
Move it to Thursday, move it to Friday, or move it to Thursday. That'd be a good one.
Thursday would be the perfect night.
But I think that for AEW, WWE, the two big shots, this is great because people are saying, oh, why? You're giving viewers to AEW. You're not giving viewers to AEW. You're giving viewers to AEW, and they're giving them right back.
Yeah.
So instead of both splitting, because right now there's about 2 million or 1.5 million people that watch those two shows, and they split it every single week. They grab half, they grab half. Why don't you just both get the whole portion? Yeah. You get 1.5 million on Tuesdays, and you get 1.5 million on Wednesdays.
And here's the thing. It's not WWE waving the white flag. It's essentially because of NBC Sports Network, dissolving. NHL needs a place to air their games. And guess what? They're going to air their games on Wednesday. And because NXT's numbers aren't as high as NHL numbers, which I'm not surprised because NHL.
I'm a little surprised.
I'm not surprised because NHL is a very popular sport, across not only here, but across the world. It's one of the more popular sports around. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, NHL and NXT, it's just two different things. And from a money perspective, because it comes down to dollars and cents, I've talked about this all the time, many times over the years. It's money, money, money. NHL is going to get more advertising dollars for that slot versus NXT. It's a money thing. WWE is just kind of tipping, kind of bowing out and saying, "Yep, that's fine. We'll go to Tuesdays." Again, it's not a white flag. Let's just kick that to the curb. There's no way it's a white flag.
So staying on the NXT front, there's also been some other news going on. A lot of people who've recently decided to, let's say, cancel their WWE network. Many of them are doing that now because they don't want to be charged for a month until they get the Peacock network. Fastlane's going to be on Peacock. WrestleMania's going to be on Peacock. So essentially, me and you are paying $9.99 for old Raws and SmackDowns right now. That's essentially what we're doing. But some people were smarter than us, and they canceled their WWE network at the start of the month in preparation for going to Peacock. And when they canceled, they have, like when you cancel anything, hey, don't go. And there was a message that came up to fans that said, don't go, because if you don't have the WWE network, you're going to miss out on Fastlane, and you're going to miss out on NXT TakeOver Thursday, April the 8th, 2 nights before WrestleMania. So potentially NXT TakeOver 2 nights before WrestleMania. Obviously, it's not going to be on Friday. That's when you got SmackDown. It's not going to be on Saturday because that's when you got WrestleMania. Yep. So if you are having a TakeOver, I guess that's the time to do it. Do you like that they're having a TakeOver on Thursday? Do you think they should just have it as maybe the final show? Maybe the final NXT on USA before they move to Tuesday nights should be TakeOver because, again, they are going to try to have a Hall of Fame ceremony. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't think fans will be in attendance, but I don't know when they're going to have that. I guess Tuesday night?
I'll say this. I think
this is the issue with WrestleMania being 2 nights.
Yeah, I think what you got to do with NXT, you do have to make it a TakeOver. That last USA Wednesday night show needs to be a TakeOver. If you're gonna move, make sure you go out with a bang and then start fresh, start a new season, so to speak, on the following Tuesday. That's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah, maybe that could be like the first show with fans. I don't know what their plans are for like the Raw after WrestleMania or TakeOver or SmackDown or any of those other shows. But that is rumors right now for people who've been canceling the network. They've seen that message come up. I think personally, I'm going to keep the network until the end of the month, and then I'll just start the Peacock network fresh on April the 1st because Fastlane is going to be on both. So I already paid the $9.99, so I might as well just keep it till the 1st.
Yeah, I'm going to write it out for the next couple weeks, and then same thing. April, I'm gonna get Peacock and get moving.
And then you got that first of the month bill instead of that middle of the month bill going on. But moving from Tuesdays, now we move to Wednesday, as in what happened this Wednesday on both AEW and NXT. Both good shows, both big things going on, including the big Shaq match, which I thought was pay-per-view quality, or at least hype-wise.
Yeah, of course.
Anytime you add a celebrity, it's normally a pay-per-view exclusive. WrestleMania, obviously, is the big contender for that one. But they decided to have the pay-per-view separate and the celebrity on Wednesday night's Dynamite. A good idea in a sense, and it was a decent match. Shaq and Red Velvet obviously pulling off the win.
Yes, and I will say this too.
Or Jade Cargill. And Jade,
Velvet.
Velvet lost.
Yeah, Velvet was on the other side.
As Shaq did his best outside the ring, getting thrown through a table of keeping still. Good job on Shaq. He's not a pro wrestler, but he kept still. They had the camera like right on him too, and I was waiting for him to like blink or do something, and he kept still.
Here's the thing. Shaq's a pro. I mean, in more ways than one. The guy's an entertainer. He's so good. It was great to see him in the ring. Maybe we'll see him in No More BS, Paul Wight. Maybe we'll see that. But I have to say, my favorite part of that night, that match, was when he powerbombed, Big Shaq powerbombed Cody Rhodes, and he did a little homage to Brody Lee. I thought that was fantastic.
I can't imagine he knows too much about Brody Lee, but I can imagine that they probably, the AEW people in the back, told him about Brody Lee, and obviously being a big man himself, he probably said, I want to do a powerbomb, and they said, hey, well, there's a guy around here who used to do a powerbomb. Maybe you could work this into your powerbomb.
Knowing Shaq does his homework on these things. I think he knows more than maybe he leads on. I thought that was the best part of the match.
Speaking of the viewership for this match, though, that to say that this was on regular TV versus pay-per-view, this is one of the weird things. As a wrestling fan, it's the only thing you got to deal with as a wrestling fan versus other sports. Other sports are pretty typical. The bigger games have the bigger audiences. The Super Bowl obviously draws better than the NFC Championship games, and the Championship games draw better than the week before. And that's just how sports are. The more important the games, the more the audience, and the more widespread on television they are. But wrestling is this weird thing where that's not the case, because there's regular television or cable television, and then there's pay-per-view. For example, Monday Night Raw every week is watched by more people than watch WrestleMania. on average. WrestleMania is, I think, their highest buys before the pay-per-view era, I guess, ended, run around like WrestleMania 28, 29, was like 1.2 million buys. Now, I guess if you say that there's 2 people at least on average watching in every one of those houses, that's 2 million people. I mean, but there's a lot of times where Raw or SmackDown would draw 2 million people. I mean, SmackDown drew 4 million people one time, I think on Christmas. This past year, they drew a couple million people. So it's this weird thing of like, what is going to be a better for your company, putting it on pay-per-view or putting it on television? In other sports, it's simple. You put him in the bigger spotlight. But in this sense, there's actually going to be more eyes on AEW Dynamite this week than there will be on the pay-per-view because the pay-per-view costs money. Pay-per-view, a bigger event, more eyeballs on TNT. And Shaq, obviously being a TNT guy, it kind of made sense to do the whole put him on TV thing. So I do understand that. Now, was that the best match you ever watched with a celebrity?
Come on, you know the answer to that one.
Well,
Pat McAfee, baby. The brand, baby. That's the best.
Well, Pat McAfee definitely did have some clapback when he heard about the fact that Cody was advertising this was going to be one of the best matches involving a celebrity.
Yeah,
so those two have been going back and forth a little bit, including Cody Rhodes saying that Pat McAfee has been calling him every single day trying to get a job in AEW.
Okay,
and
we
Pat
know that's
McAfee
a bunch of crap.
has said that is not true. But what do you make of the Pat McAfee-Cody Rhodes rivalry?
I just think it's Pat McAfee doing what Pat McAfee does. He's not going. Pat McAfee is not going to AEW. I'm just gonna squash that right now. He ain't going to AEW. If he's gonna do any more business in the next, even the next couple years, it'll be WWE. Pat McAfee is a brand, and that's why he has for the brand. WWE is not gonna let him go to AEW. So it's not gonna.
And I do like Pat McAfee as well. I don't necessarily think offhand that I'll say that's the best celebrity match I've ever seen involving Pat McAfee. But I will say the Shaq match was. I can almost assuredly say that was not the best match involving a celebrity in the history of pro wrestling.
Who was the best celebrity match then?
I can't say offhand. I mean, obviously Lawrence Taylor held his own at WrestleMania 11. Not saying that is great. I think Pat McAfee probably is up there.
Pat McAfee, hands down, best celebrity match.
I would definitely probably say offhand. I would probably say yes.
Not a question.
But I can say offhand for sure that the Shaq match was not the best match involving a celebrity.
I mean, I think we all can agree on that. But Pat McAfee, I mean, what he did in the ring, nobody expected. Like everyone thought, okay, he's gonna take a few bumps, he'll get a couple shots in, and then that's it. He put on a legit match, like he was wrestling for in the PC for a long time. So again, Pat McAfee, best celebrity match.
So Big Show said that this Sunday at Revolution there will be a bona fide Hall of Famer.
Wait! You can't say that. It's not Big Show anymore.
Okay. Paul Wight said there, and at this Sunday's Evolution, when he was referring to Revolution, there's going to be a big Hall of Famer making his debut. It's not going to be somebody in one of the matches in which there's a TBA next to it. It's going to be a standalone thing. So, question is, who is it? Because Batista already said no.
CM Punk said no. It's going to be Christian.
You think?
And I know this, and I know I said on previous episodes that
I think it was last episode.
I think it might have been last or 2 weeks ago that I don't see him in AEW anytime soon. But there hasn't. I mean, Christian hasn't come out and said, "Oh yeah, I'm still in WWE." Like he hasn't disputed this possibility. I mean, obviously,
is that a big? Would Christian be? I mean, they really made this out like we're getting another sting here.
Think of the way it was worded. A guy who's Hall of Fame caliber. Christian is Hall of Fame caliber who's not in the Hall of Fame.
That's true.
The way the wording of it, maybe the Christian thing was a one-off. I don't know. I mean, the last, a couple weeks ago, previous episodes, I did say I don't see it happening, but I'm backtracking 100%. I'm okay with owning that one. I think Christian would be the obvious choice. I mean, shoot, even Kurt Angle.
That was going to be my pick. Kurt Angle was going to be my pick. I mean, obviously, this kind of reminds me of Impact Wrestling. I mean, you got the Stings.
What's next? Who's next? Ric Flair?
Yeah, I mean, they love, Actually, what about Hulk Hogan? What a swerve to say that Hulk Hogan would never be, I mean, he is a Hall of Famer, obviously. He's more than Hall of Fame caliber. Yeah. But I mean, that swerve of like, he's never welcome here. Even when nobody even asked. And he literally came out and said, Tony Khan, that he'll never be welcome in AEW. Like,
what if that was a work?
Why are you putting Hulk Hogan's name in your mouth? Like, why are you, just to get up the buzz of the fact that we now know that he's not welcome in AEW when we didn't even know he wasn't welcome to begin with?
Who knows that? I'm not saying it's happening, but
Hogan and Sting 30 years later.
first one to get their next hip replaced. I don't know. I mean, that's where we're going at this point. I don't think Hulk Hogan can take bumps anymore. I will say, Sting this week, he took some hits. He took a couple little bumps there. I mean, hey, I'm very surprised that Sting in his 60s is still taking some bumps. I'm not expecting him to be putting on 30-minute matches like he did back in the day, but I'm pleasantly surprised of what we've gotten from him at this point.
Well, where you won't see Hall of Famers and you won't see any AEW wrestlers is a show that looks like it is all but fading into obscurity, and a guy who is going to retire most likely in the world of wrestling, and not retire in the world of wrestling like coming back. I think it's about time this man retires. I'm speaking of Joey Ryan. He recently, the company he owns, Bar Wrestling, was planning to put on a wrestling. It is entitled the Wrestling for Women's Charity event. And now a lot of people didn't realize that he has ownership stake in Bar Wrestling. So they just saw the event and thought, great, AEW was going to give some talent over there. There was a bunch of other indie guys. This is going to be some sort of charity wrestling event going on. And then the poster came out and Joey Ryan's face was on there. Now, if you don't know anything about Joey Ryan, you know that him and women's, I guess, causes and the Me Too movement, all this other stuff, they don't go good together. Joey Ryan most likely, in most people's eyes, should be done with wrestling in the sense that his image has been pretty much tarnished. He's actually sued a lot of these women who have set these claims against him to tarnish his image. He's got a lot of allegations against him. He's gotten divorced recently. So let's just say any sort of matches or wrestling events that are in favor of the Me Too movements or women's rights or women's causes that are going to get women out and comfortable to wrestle in are probably against the Joey Ryans of the world, not with the Joey Ryans of the world.
100%.
So AEW, when they found this out, they pulled all their talent. They said, if there's a charity involved, we'll still give the money. But we're not having anybody compete. As of right now, it looks like the event is pretty much not going to happen.
Yeah, it's pretty much
scrapped. I think that might be the end of Joey Ryan in the world of wrestling. And when you have a gimmick where your penis is your gimmick, you better make sure that it doesn't ever come back to bite you like it did Joey Ryan. I mean, because if you remember a couple years ago, this guy was the narcissist, good looking, can have every kind of woman he wants. And that's great when you're Ric Flair and you don't have any allegations against you and that's your character. But then when, like I said, if Ric Flair, we always thought, like, if you have allegations against you, then it looks bad when that's your character. If your character in wrestling is a woman beater and they find out you're a woman beater, let's just say, they don't go. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah, no. It's and here's the thing. That's why you won't see anybody like a Val Venus anymore. With the way how, like, you're not going to see Val Venus doing.
Well, I mean, even though Val Venus, though, I mean, imagine if Val Venus at that time then had similar allegations against him.
That would not be good. Yeah,
because like Joey Ryan is the king of sleaze. Yeah, I said he had the penis pile driver and all this other stuff. The YouPorn Plex was his finishing move. So to have those, you better make sure that personally that's just a character and you're super clean. So when he obviously got in all that trouble, then you can't obviously parade out in wrestling as that character of I can have any woman I want while you're at the same time fighting off allegations of, sexual advances and sexual harassment and all that other stuff.
Well, I want to talk about some other wrestlers, not in that aspect, but wrestlers that are making a return to the business. Enzo and Cass.
Enzo and Cass, indeed, showed up this week at a Georgia Independent Wrestling Federation. Now, Enzo has wrestled a little bit in the last 2 years, but it was Cass's first appearance in wrestling in 2 years.
Yeah, that surprises me. I mean, that whole thing, I was very surprised when Cass and Enzo and Cass, they weren't in WWE anymore because they were on a roll. They were on fire. Like, everybody was doing the soft, the whole deal there. I mean, I got to get your thoughts. I mean, do you think we see Enzo and Cass in AEW or WWE ring in the next, 18 months? I
say Enzo and Cass might be that big surprise. I mean, we got a couple surprises for Evolution. It's not just that one surprise that Paul Wight was talking about. There's actually a couple spots. As what I've heard, they've got no beef in WWE. I mean, they obviously had to cut ties with them at the time, but a lot of people still like Enzo and Cass. Cass is looking great when he showed up to the wrestling ring this past week in Georgia. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them in one or two of those companies in the next year, let alone, as long as you were saying
18 months.
Yeah, I'd say the next 12 months, next 6 months.
I'm okay with that. Because you know what? As a wrestling fan, they are very entertaining. So it's been missed. I always like their gimmick. I always enjoy what they did. Even if they never have the belts, just what they do to get the crowd, especially when the crowds come back. That is something that most fans are like, yeah, I want to see that. I want to hear that music hit, and I want to hear Enzo and Cass do their thing.
Quickly glossing over NXT this past week, a great match between Finn Balor and Roderick Strong leading up to next week's championship match between Cole and Finn Balor. A great match for the women's tag team belts. Raquel Gonzalez, her wave of winning streak, I guess, like you love to say, everything she's involved in, everything she touches is gold. Well, not the tag team gold, because she's not going to have that this time around, as Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax retained on NXT. But it was William Regal who said that he's going to make a big announcement next week on NXT that's going to shake things up in the women's division. A huge monumental announcement.
I think, I don't know if it's monumental, maybe. Taya? Maybe is Taya going to be, she coming up real quick, getting a quick call-up?
Would just a call-up be, I mean, I feel like it's got to be like a tournament. It's got to be a championship belt. It's got to be maybe an all-women's pay-per-view coming up. Maybe NXT TakeOver is all-women.
I'm okay with that. I mean, that's fine, because here's the thing. The women's division, especially in NXT, is the
best.
It's the deepest. It's the richest. I enjoy it. If it's me, it should be the Raquel Gonzalez show, because I think Raquel Gonzalez is, I mean, she is I know she is not the champion or a champion in any shape or form at this point, but she is the face of the women's division this year. I think she's crushing it, and I'm excited to see her, get the title and make a nice run with that title.
All right, so we're going to finish out the show looking at AEW Revolution this week, a stacked card, probably one of the most stacked pay-per-views yet. I'm looking forward to, we'll go down the line. The Young Bucks take it on the Inner Circle. Who do you see winning this one? It's for the AEW World Tag Team Championship.
I still think the Bucks are going to keep the titles. I don't see Inner Circle taking the titles off of them. I just don't see it.
I see this street fight helping out Sting, because you don't want it to be a traditional wrestling match. It means it's going to help him out a little bit, make him look a little better. Darby Allin and Sting against Team Taz. I imagine Sting's going to get over in this.
Oh, of course he is. That's probably the biggest no-brainer of the night.
So the AEW Women's World Championship on the line between two people whom names it's going to be very hard. You got Hiroki Shida. I can announce that one pretty well.
Hikaru Shida.
Okay, I guess I can't.
I'm sorry. Hikaru. See, even we're botching it now.
Hikaru Shida.
Yes.
Against the winner of that AEW Women's Tournament that happened this past week on Dynamite. Wish Nyla Rose won, because I could announce that name much easier. But it was Ryo Mizuami. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's pretty close. I think that's about right.
Pretty much an all Asian descent match for the AEW Women's World Championship. I don't know. I don't got a pick for that.
I think Shida wins.
Adam Page, Matt Hardy, and a big money winner receives the loser's first quarter earnings match. I mean, these matches are kind of silly, because wrestling is scripted, so it's not legitimately happening. So it's better when they receive something that we can actually see. It's like winner receives the other one's car, but that's all off screen. So anything that's a prize that's off screen doesn't do anything for me, because off screen I don't get to see it. It's like, I promise, loser gets naked at the other person's house. Now, we're not going to film it, we're not going to show it, but you'll just have to trust us on that.
Trust our word on it.
Trust us that the loser of this match is going to get like a couple $100,000.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, you'll have to trust us on that one. Matt Hardy, I just love him in any one of these kind of gimmicky matches.
You know what? I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go with a Hangman. I think how they're gonna play this out is like Hangman wins the match, and Hardy's like, I'm big money. It's not that big of a deal. I have enough money. I'm fine.
One thing AEW likes, and I understood it at their first pay-per-view in Las Vegas, Double or Nothing, but now it seems like they just love the word casino in all their matches. We got a casino tag team royale for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. We got Bear Country, the Dark Order, the other group members of the Dark Order, Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz, the Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, Top Flight, Death Triangle being Pac and Ray Phoenix, Varsity Blondes being Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., Matt Sydal and Mike Sydal, SoCal Uncensored, which is Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, The Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, Chaos Project, and TBA. Enzo and Cass?
Possibly. Who are you picking in that match? I already got a name. I'm going to go with Proud and Powerful.
All right.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with TBA. Whoever TBA is, I'm going with.
That is an unfair advantage, because it could be
There's only one team.
Yeah, but there's so many possibilities out there. Got to pick one that's not TBA.
Now, again, this isn't for the AEW tag team titles. It's for a future shot at the tag team titles. Then I'll go Pac and Ray Phoenix.
I can't argue. Those guys are studs.
Face of the Revolution ladder match for a future shot at the AEW TNT Championship. Cody Rhodes coming off his match against Shaq, Scorpio Sky, Penta El Zero, Lance Archer, Mac Caster, TBA, and Mito as well. But also TBA. Who's TBA?
Ooh. Who could be TBA? I don't know. I literally don't have a guess. I mean, what do you got? I don't know.
Kurt Angle. No. Again, it's not going to be someone involved as this big name. So yeah, I don't know. Somebody from Impact. Because they've been going back and forth. So maybe
Rich Swann?
No.
Moose?
No, I would say
Moose. Let's do Moose.
I would probably say maybe like the Kurt Hawkins of the world, or the Matt Cardonas. Maybe Matt Cardona.
Maybe. I mean, you know what? Matt Cardona. I'll do it.
And the championship match, the exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW Championship. Finally, we're getting Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. A year removed from when they had one of the more amazing matches in AEW history, in their short history. They're going to go at it again. Who is leaving with the belt? Who is going to be the face of AEW heading into the Impact? Who's going to be, I guess, the person who's going to face Rich Swann in the future in that champion versus champion match whenever we get it? It's going to be Jon Moxley. It's going to be Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. It's going to be. I'm just going to tell you, any wrestling fan that is able to watch this, whether it's live or later on, that if you're going to pick one match to watch, that's the match you want to watch. That is I think Jon Moxley. I can't see Jon Moxley. This match was made for him. I know, but the way they're using Kenny Omega, I think it's Kenny Omega. I think he's going to keep the title for a little while.
So strange. This is the first AEW pay-per-view on a Sunday night, which, to be honest with you, I think is a smart move from them to beat out on piracy. Because I think Saturday night opens yourself up to a lot of piracy because you can just not watch the event, stay off social media, and then Sunday morning, before anyone's even awake to get on Twitter, you watch it with your breakfast. But this case, Sunday pay-per-views, they fight piracy in the sense of you can't just download it for free the next day, because a lot of you got to go to work, and then you got to go the whole day without going on social media, the whole day without going on anything.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people like myself are going to want to watch this live on Sunday night.
I'm going to be, so
yeah.
I always take care of things. I got some things.
We'll find a way to take care of it. It's if you're buying it on pay-per-view, because with the WWE Network and friends and like we said, piracy, we haven't had to pay for pay-per-views in quite a long time.
No.
But $50 they're charging for, which I guess would be the going rate for a WWE event if they put them on pay-per-view.
Yeah, and actually, one note before we get off, just want to send our thoughts and prayers to the family of Jim Crockett Jr. He passed away.
Yes, famous Jim Crockett Promotions, obviously before they turned into
WCW,
the NWA, then WCW. Yep. But yes, the origins of WCW belong in the Jim Crockett Promotions. But that's going to do it for this week. We'll talk all AEW's Revolutions fallout, what could happen with Bobby Lashley, the championship heading into Fastlane, any other news and notes. Hopefully WrestleMania tickets going on sale next week. We have no word on that so far with less than about a month to go till WrestleMania. Nobody's got tickets. So we'll have to talk that. And don't forget Finn Balor, Adam Cole for the championship. I think it should be a takeover, but you can only imagine what they're going to have in store for us at TakeOver if this is just on regular TV next week. So for Brandon, I'm Jared. This has been another edition of the Heel to the Face podcast.